The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council stretched across 3 kilometers of polished obsidian floor. Crystalline pillars rose like frozen lightning, supporting a dome that displayed the swirling colors of 1,000-member worlds. Today, representatives from 700 species filled the tiered seats, their various forms, scaled, furred, crystalline, gaseous, creating a tapestry of galactic diversity. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood at the human podium, her simple gray suit a stark contrast to the elaborate ceremonial armor and bioluminescent robes around her. She was small compared to most delegates, her brown skin and dark eyes unremarkable in a room of beings who could see in dimensions humans couldn't even name. Ambassador Vasquez droned High Chancellor Throck, his 4 mandibles clicking with barely concealed impatience. You have requested this emergency session. The Council has graciously allowed you 5 minutes. We have important matters to discuss. Elena looked across the assembly. 237 years. That's how long humanity had been part of this council. 2 centuries of being interrupted, dismissed, and treated like children at the adults' table. She remembered her first day as ambassador, 10 years ago, full of hope and idealism. She'd watched that hope die slowly, meeting after meeting as human proposals were ignored. Human warnings dismissed, human expertise overlooked. Thank you, High Chancellor, Elena said, her voice calm and clear. I will be brief. She touched her datapad, and holographic displays appeared above every delegation. Numbers, statistics, trade routes, communication protocols, medical research, technological patents. For the past month, my government has conducted an audit, Elena continued. We wanted to understand humanity's role in the galactic community. How tedious, muttered Ambassador Zixthal of the Arachnid Collective, her translator making her chittering sound like breaking glass. Humans and their obsession with documentation. Elena didn't pause. We found that humans operate or maintain 82% of the galaxy's translation algorithms. The ones that allow this council to function, that let you all understand each other. A few delegates stirred, but most looked bored. We discovered that human engineers designed the quantum relay network that connects 400,000 star systems. We maintain it. We troubleshoot it. When it fails, we fix it, usually without being asked and rarely with thanks. Your point, Ambassador? Throck's tone suggested his patience was ending. Human medical researchers have developed vaccines for 37 pandemic-level diseases in the past century alone. We share these freely with all council members. Human agricultural specialists have prevented 14 famine events across 9 sectors. Yes, interrupted Chancellor Vorath of the Selenian hegemony, his crystalline form refracting light in annoyed patterns. Humans are very helpful. Congratulations, is this all? Elena smiled, but there was no warmth in it. That's exactly my point, Chancellor. We are helpful. That's all we've ever been allowed to be. Helpful, useful, the technicians, the translators, the fixers of everyone else's problems. She let that hang in the air. Last month, the High Chancellor interrupted me 17 times during my presentation on stellar cartography errors. Errors that could have led to ships being lost in uncharted space. 3 days ago, this council voted to reject humanity's bid for a Security Council seat, the 5th. Rejection in a row, while granting one to a species that joined the council 40 years after we did. The Diluvian Federation has military strength, Throck said defensively. What does humanity offer for security? That's precisely the question we asked ourselves, Elena replied. What do we offer? And more importantly, why do we keep offering it? The chamber grew quieter. Elena had their attention now. Yesterday, the Terran Assembly convened. We voted unanimously on a resolution. Effective immediately, humanity is withdrawing from active participation in the Galactic Council. The chamber erupted. Voices, sounds, and emanations of shock filled the space. You cannot. Throck stood, his massive frame looming. There are treaties, obligations.
We will honor all existing treaties, Elena said calmly.
We will not break our word, but we will not renew them. We will not volunteer our services. We will not offer help unless asked, and paid fairly for our time. We will not maintain systems we didn't build for ourselves. We will not translate for species who dismiss us. We will not fix problems for people who interrupt us. This is blackmail, screeched Zixthal. No, Elena said softly. This is goodbye. She gathered her materials, her movements unhurried. Humanity will retreat to our own space. Our colonies, our systems, our people. We will focus on ourselves for a while. Perhaps when we return, if we return, the galaxy will have learned to value what it took for granted. You'll regret this. Vorath's light pulsed angry crimson. Humanity is nothing without the Council. Elena paused at the exit, looking back one last time at the assembly that had never truly seen her people. Chancellor Vorath, in 2 hours, the quantum relay network will begin experiencing failures, small at first. A delay here, a dropped connection there. In 3 days it will cascade. We estimate total communication collapse within a week. Fix it. Throck demanded. No, Elena said simply. I believe the phrase your species uses is, figure it out yourselves. She walked out of the grand assembly hall, the doors sealing behind her with a whisper of finality. Behind her, the shouting began. Demands, threats, panic. Elena didn't look back. She'd waited 237 years for this moment. Humanity's silence would speak louder than any speech ever could. Day 3 after withdrawal. The first sign wasn't dramatic. It was barely noticeable. Ambassador Krell of the Vortian hegemony was negotiating a mining treaty with the Polarian Trade Consortium when his translator hiccuped. The word acceptable became poisonous. The word partnership became invasion. The negotiations collapsed into accusations. Both parties stormed out, confused and angry. By day 5, 53 similar incidents were reported across the galaxy. Admiral Thexilor sat in his command chair aboard the battlecruiser Dominance, reviewing reports with growing unease. He was a decorated officer of the Selenian hegemony, veteran of 3 territorial wars, and he'd never felt fear like this before. Status of the quantum relay? He asked his communications officer. The young officer's crystalline form flickered with nervous energy. Sir, we're experiencing a 43% packet loss on all long-range channels. Short range is still functional but degrading hourly. Have engineering fix it. They've tried, sir. They don't know how. The system was built by... The officer stopped. By humans, Thexilor finished. I know, he'd never thought about it before. The quantum relay network had always just worked. Messages traveled instantly across thousands of light years. Fleet coordination happened seamlessly. It was as natural as breathing. Now it was dying, and no one knew how to save it. Day 8. Dr. Vexana of the Medical Directorate stood in her laboratory, staring at the genetic sequencer with mounting horror. The crimson flux had appeared on 3 colony worlds in the outer rim, 40,000 infected. Mortality rate, 87%. She'd sent the viral samples to her team 2 days ago. Routine analysis. They should have had preliminary results in hours. Instead, her communication terminal showed only static and fragmented messages. Words arrived out of order, corrupted, meaningless. Get me the human medical liaison, she demanded. Her assistant's antennae drooped. Doctor, the humans have withdrawn all liaisons. They're not responding to requests. This is a pandemic emergency. Surely they'll... I've sent 17 messages, Doctor, all unanswered. Vexana felt something unfamiliar, helplessness. Every pandemic in the last century had been solved with human help. Their medical databases were the most comprehensive in the galaxy. Their researchers had an uncanny ability to find solutions others missed. She'd never wondered why. She'd just accepted it as her due. Now 40,000 people were dying and she was alone. Day 12. The Galactic Trade Authority's headquarters on Station Prime was in chaos. Director Moltrax tried to make sense of the reports flooding in from every sector. Trade routes were failing. Not because of pirates or natural phenomena, but because no one could navigate properly anymore. The stellar cartography database, maintained and updated by human surveyors, hadn't been refreshed in 2 weeks. New anomalies went uncharted. Drift calculations grew increasingly unreliable. 3 cargo vessels had vanished. Not destroyed, just lost. Gone into uncharted space with no way to call for help because the communications network was collapsing. How did we not see this coming? Moltrax whispered. His assistant, a young Diluvian, pulled up economic projections. Sir, human trade represented only 8% of galactic GDP. We assumed they were minor players. 8% direct, Moltrax said, understanding dawning with sickening clarity. But how much trade relied on their infrastructure? Their communications? Their navigation? The assistant ran the numbers. The color drained from his scales. 93%, sir. Moltrak sat down heavily. The galaxy's economy wasn't just shrinking, it was dying. And it would take years, maybe decades, to rebuild what humanity had quietly built and maintained. Day 15. High Chancellor Throck convened an emergency session of the Security Council. Only 47 of the usual 200 members attended. The rest couldn't travel safely or communicate reliably enough to participate. The Grand Assembly Hall felt empty, echoing. "We must convince the humans to return," Throck said. "Whatever it takes." Chancellor Vorath's crystalline form pulsed with anger. "Why should we beg? They abandoned us. This is extortion." "This is consequences," said Ambassador Relthas of the Aquarian sovereignty quietly. She was one of the few who'd consistently supported human proposals. "We treated them like servants for 2 centuries. We dismissed their warnings. We mocked their offerings. Now we're learning what we've lost." "Send them a formal apology," suggested someone. "I've tried," Throck admitted. 17 messages, no response. "Pay them," Vorath said bitterly. "Offer them money, resources, whatever they want." "They don't want our money," Relthas said softly. "They want what we never gave them, respect." A new voice crackled over the barely functional communication system. Minister Kix of the Outer Rim colonies, his image pixelated and breaking up. "Honorable Council. Crimson flux, spreading. 12 worlds now. 70,000 dead. No human help coming. We're dying." The transmission cut out. The chamber fell silent. Not the peaceful silence of contemplation, but the hollow silence of dawning horror. "How long?" Throck asked quietly. "How long can we survive without them?" No one answered, because they all knew. The quantum relays would fail completely within days. Trade would collapse. Medical emergencies would multiply. Navigation would become deadly guesswork. The galaxy had run on human ingenuity, human maintenance, human quiet competence for so long that no one remembered how to function without it. And now, in their silence, humanity was teaching the galaxy a lesson it should have learned centuries ago. Those who you ignore in peacetime become those you need most in crisis. Outside the hall, in the vast emptiness of space, human ships patrolled human borders. Watching, waiting, but not helping. Not yet. Day 23. The Galactic Council chamber was dark, emergency power only. Half the crystalline pillars had gone dim, and the cosmic dome overhead showed nothing but static. 73 delegates had managed to attend. Travel was nearly impossible now. Communication between sectors had degraded to primitive radio signals that took days to cross distances. Quantum relays had spanned in seconds. High Chancellor Throck looked older somehow, his mandibles hanging with exhaustion. "The humans have responded." Every being in the chamber leaned forward. "Ambassador Vasquez has agreed to meet with us. Here. Tomorrow. Alone." "What are their demands?" Vorath asked, his crystalline form dim with defeat. She didn't say. The next day, Elena Vasquez walked into the Grand Assembly Hall just as she had 3 weeks earlier. Same gray suit, same calm expression, but everything else had changed. The delegates who'd once barely looked at her now watched her every movement with desperate attention. She took her place at the podium. No one interrupted. "3 weeks ago, I walked out of this chamber," Elena began. "Some of you called it blackmail. Others called it abandonment. I called it necessary." She looked around the damaged hall. "The Crimson Flux has killed 92,000 people. The quantum relay network has collapsed in 80% of member systems. 37 cargo vessels are lost. 2 colonies have been abandoned because no one could navigate rescue missions. Economic losses exceed 15 trillion credits." The chamber was silent. Guilty. Ashamed. The galaxy is learning what humanity has known for 2 centuries. Infrastructure is invisible until it fails. Expertise is worthless until you need it. And people are disposable until they're gone. Ambassador Reltha stood, her aquatic form trembling. Ambassador Vasquez, on behalf of the Aquarian sovereignty, I formally apologize. We failed to see your value. We failed to treat your people with dignity. We were wrong. One by one, other delegates stood. Apologies. Acknowledgements. Shame spoken aloud by species who'd never admitted error before. Elena listened to them all. When the last delegate sat down, she spoke again. Thank you, but apologies aren't enough. Throck's mandibles drooped. Name your price, anything. It's not about price, Elena said. It's about change. Humanity doesn't want your money or your guilt. We want partnership. Real partnership. She activated a holographic display. These are humanity's terms, not demands. Terms. The document appeared before every delegate, the Terran Accord article. 1. Representation. Humanity receives 2 permanent seats on the Security Council with veto authority. Human proposals receive mandatory consideration with formal responses required within 30 standard days. Article 2. Compensation. All human-maintained infrastructure will operate on service contracts with fair market compensation. Technology transfer requires licensing agreements and appropriate credit. Human expertise is classified as a tradable resource with regulated pricing. Article 3. Respect protocols. Interrupting human delegates during official council business incurs formal penalties. Dismissing human warnings without review requires written justification. Human cultural contributions receive equal recognition with other member species. Article 4. Education and exchange mandatory integration of human history and achievements into galactic educational curricula. Establishment of mutual cultural exchange programs. Recognition that humanity's greatest strength lies in collaboration, not domination. Article 5. Independence. Humanity retains absolute right to withdraw services without penalty. Human space remains sovereign and inviolable. No galactic law supersedes human self-determination. The Chamber absorbed this in silence. These terms are reasonable, Vorath admitted quietly. Perhaps too reasonable given your leverage. Elena smiled slightly. We don't want revenge, Chancellor. We want something harder to achieve. Actual change. We want to be partners, not servants. Equals, not subordinates. And if we agree, Throck asked, will you help us now? The Crimson Flux? The medical teams are already en route, Elena said. We won't let people die to make a point. But moving forward, when we help, you'll say thank you. You'll pay fairly. And you'll remember. She looked around the chamber one last time. Humanity didn't leave because we were weak. We left because we were strong enough to stand alone. We're coming back not because you begged, but because we choose to. That choice is ours, and it always will be. Ambassador Relthus approached the podium. Ambassador Vasquez, the Aquarian sovereignty formally endorses the Terran Accord. Others followed. One by one, species who'd ignored humanity for centuries lined up to sign an agreement that acknowledged what should have been obvious from the beginning. Respect isn't given by the strong to the weak. It's earned by the competent and recognized by the wise. 3 months later, the Grand Assembly Hall glowed with restored light. The quantum relay network hummed with human-supervised maintenance crews from a dozen species learning the systems they'd taken for granted. Elena stood at her podium, now positioned prominently among the Security Council seats, reviewing a proposal for upgraded medical research facilities. The Diluvian representative was presenting. He spoke clearly, respectfully, and when he finished, he looked directly at Elena. Ambassador Vasquez, I would welcome humanity's input on this proposal. Thank you, Ambassador, Elena replied. I have several suggestions. Across the galaxy, the changes rippled outward. Human names appeared in textbooks alongside ancient heroes of other species. Human achievements were celebrated, not dismissed. Human warnings were heeded, not ignored. The quantum relays carried messages at the speed of thought. Trade routes flourished under improved navigation. The crimson flux was contained, studied, and defeated. And in every corner of galactic civilization, a new understanding took root. The galaxy hadn't fallen apart because humanity withdrew their labor. It had fallen apart because the galaxy had never understood that humanity's greatest gift wasn't their technology or expertise. It was their choice to share it, and choices can always be unmade. In her quarters that night, Elena looked at a message from Earth, her daughter, asking when she'd come home. Soon, Elena typed back. The work here is almost done, for now. She smiled and added, they're finally learning to listen. Outside her window, the stars sparkled with the light of 1,000 civilized worlds, a galaxy that had learned its lesson, the hard way, the only way that matters.